Hey guys, Jfarr here. This video will cover each component, what they are used for, which ones to recycle, and how to recycle them. In total, there are 16 components that are ingredients for other items when crafting, and an additional component called the electric fuse that is used to complete the monument puzzles. Typically, the CCTV and laptop are identified as resources and not components. However, they are both used to craft items and are recycled like other components. Scrap might also be mistaken as a component, but it's a resource as well. Scrap is a product of recycling components and is essentially the currency of rust. Always collect scrap and never throw it away. Your aim should be to collect components so they can be recycled down into scrap. Let us get a better understanding of these components by listing them within a tiered review. At the top within the S and A tier, we have the useful and hard to come by components that should always be collected and returned to your home. These are either used in advanced crafting, puzzles, or can be recycled for many resources. The B and C tier are components that are mostly used within early to mid game items and are typically common to uncommon items to find. Finally, D tier items are common to very common to find and are rarely used to craft items that provide any useful return. However, each tier doesn't accurately represent which items to recycle, so let's have a look at a second list identifying which items to never, maybe, and almost always recycle. As you can see, it's recommended you almost always recycle certain S tier items. This is because they are used in limited number of crafts and yield a high return of resources. The targeting computer and CCTV camera are primarily used in the auto turret and electricity for surveillance. So if you're not up to the latest stage of the game where you're crafting auto turrets and have electrical systems set up in your house, I would almost always recommend to recycle them. On the other side of the spectrum, we have items to never or rarely recycle. On rare occasions or in situations where you have a wealth of these items, I would suggest recycling them. However, in almost all cases, I would collect these items since they will be largely used within higher tier items or building parts and are rarer to find. Especially the gears, which might be one of the most sought after components in the game due to how much they are used in crafting building items. I would suggest recycling the excess SMG bodies and rifle bodies after you have 10 saved up. Finally, we have the items to maybe recycle, which depends on your current situation and gameplay style. Typically, you should have a collection of these already, and I would suggest having at least 10 of each item before recycling. This is to ensure when it comes time to craft certain items you already have the components necessary. They are typically common to uncommon, so it shouldn't be too much of a worry if you recycle these items. Recyclers can be found at most major monuments, save zones, smaller monuments, and cannot be crafted. Be careful around them when not in a save zone, since players are likely to pass through the area looking to recycle components for themselves, or even steal the resources from others. Simply walk up to the recycler and open it to place your components or items within. If you have multiple items to recycle at once, it will start recycling from left to right, with the first items placed in being destroyed before the right items. Once the items are recycled, their components will be placed and stacked in the lower slots. The resources you receive from recycling components or items are directly half of what it takes to craft it. So if you have a custom SMG that costs 8 high quality metal, 1 SMG body and 1 metal spring to craft, you will receive 4 high quality metal and a 50% chance to receive the SMG body and spring back. Additionally, other players are unable to open the recycler when you're inside of it, which stops other players from stealing your items when inside the save zone. Components can be found around the map within crates, barrels, and within monuments. The primary way to collect scrap and components is by running along the roads, since they'll constantly spawn junk piles that contain barrels and toolboxes. Certain components can also be crafted at a level 2 or level 3 workbench, once researched or purchased at the save zone for some resources. You can easily find which components can be crafted by opening your crafting menu and searching the designed component's name. If it doesn't appear, it's not craftable. For the largest amount of components, I would recommend running to monuments such as the underwater labs, train yard, and oil rig. These places will yield many crates filled with high tier components which you can recycle for large profits. However, some of these locations are risky considering they may contain scientists or players. If that's the case, run lower tier monuments like the satellite, dome, harbour and sewer branch, which I all have videos on to help you learn the layouts and loot locations. Let's have a look at each component separately to find what it's used for and to see if the current situation requires it or if you would be better off recycling them. Timestamps for each component will be in the description if you would like to skip to a specific one. Sheet metal is a common component with the greatest chance to be found in normal crates. Sheet metal cannot be crafted but instead is purchased from the outpost for 30 scrap. The empty propane tank is a common component with the greatest chance to be found within sunken chests. The tank can only be crafted at a level 2 workbench after directly researching it. The metal blade is a common component with the greatest chance to be found within sunken chests. The blade can be purchased from the outpost for 15 scrap and crafted at a level 2 workbench. Rope is a common component with the greatest chance to be found within sunken chests. Rope can only be purchased at the outpost at a cost of 30 cloth. The tarp is a common component with the greatest chance to be found within sunken chests. The tarp cannot be purchased or crafted. The metal pipe is a common item primarily gathered from road signs and with the greatest chance to be found in lock crates. Metal pipes can both be purchased at the outpost for 30 scrap and crafted at a level 3 workbench. The road signs are a common component primarily gathered from signs along the main roads and within monuments, with the greatest chance to be found in normal crates. Road signs can only be crafted at a level 3 workbench after being directly researched. The semi-automatic body is a common component with the greatest chance to be found within the cargo ship and military tunnel scientists. This component is one of the best items to recycle if you have the option to do so. The semi-auto body cannot be purchased or crafted. The SMG body is a rare component with the greatest chance to be found within the lock crate. The SMG body cannot be purchased or crafted. The sewing kit is a common component with the greatest chance to be found within the sunken chest. The sewing kit can be crafted at a level 3 workbench after being directly researched. The spring is an uncommon component with the greatest chance to be found within a normal crate. Springs can both be purchased at the outpost for 60 scrap and crafted at a level 3 workbench. The electric fuse is a common component with the greatest chance to be found within the normal crates. Fuses are used within the monument puzzles so you can use your keycards on the doors to open them. They are recycled down into 20 scrap but only do so if you have spare lying around or do not plan on doing the monument puzzles. The gear, which is an uncommon component, has the greatest chance to be found within a normal crate. Gears can both be purchased from the outpost for 125 scrap and crafted at a level 3 workbench after directly researching it. Tech trash is a rare component with the greatest chance to be found within the lock crates or recycled from other components. Tech trash cannot be purchased or crafted. The rifle body is a rare component with the greatest chance to be found within the lock crate. The rifle body cannot be purchased or crafted. The CCTV camera is a rare component with the greatest chance to be found within the APC crate. It is used for base surveillance or within the auto turret. The CCTV camera cannot be purchased or crafted. Finally, we have the targeting computer, which is a rare component with the greatest chance to be found within the APC crate. The computer cannot be purchased or crafted. When playing, don't constantly think about needing to recycle your components. Have a box you continue to put them in after every loot run, and after a while you'll begin to build a collection. Once you have a wealth of components and are struggling to fit more into a single large chest, I'd recommend going on recycling runs. If you are a solo, I'd recommend doing this in stages to avoid dying with all your components at once. If you're in a team, you might be able to take the risk and take all the components that you need to recycle. Once you have arrived at the recycler, place the most valuable components first and sit tight and guard the loot. Continue to check up on the recycler's progress and take out everything that is already being processed. Keep doing this just in case you need to quickly get out of there and don't have time to get the rest out of the recycler. Additionally, I would recommend if you have a lot to recycle, have one friend periodically take the scrap and recycled loot home, to avoid having it all on you for the whole time recycling. Components are an essential part of Rust and directly relate to crafting and obtaining scrap for trading. Always pick up components whether you need them or not for crafting, as they can always be used to acquire scrap to later buy vehicles, guns or other items. That's all for this video, and if you enjoyed it, I would recommend checking out my other tutorials or subscribing to be notified of new uploads. Thanks guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.